As we enter into 2022, Konami has been making plans to hold the 10th Konami Arcade Championship in the middle of February. To those out of the loop, the Konami Arcade Championship, often referred to as KAC, is an official tournament held by the company, where players compete for a nice little trophy as well as establish their dominance in a certain Konami arcade game. However, I'm not really going to go into the nitty-gritty of how the tournament works, since there's already an entire video dedicated to that topic. Instead, what I want to touch on is that in addition to the tournament aspect, KAC is also used as a platform for Konami to announce new stuff with their arcade games. These can range from new songs to straight up new cabinets, as with the case of DDR Ace. Based on the title of this video, I'm pretty sure you can figure out the direction of where this video is heading. With Dancerush about to become 4 years old, I think it's about time to explore the question: if Konami was to announce something about Dancerush during KAC, what would we like to see? And after contemplating and asking fellow Dancerush players for their opinions, this is what I came up with. Assuming that Konami announces Dancerush 2 Stardom in the Rough, there are two options on how to approach this. Ideally, they could release another cabinet revision with better pads. The current pads are fine, but they are prone to ghosting if not cleaned properly, as dust can mess with the IR sensors. And if people constantly stomp on them, you get fun videos like this. On that note, don't be this guy, okay? Every time I see someone stomping on the pad like how Annie curb stomps Reiner, a part of me dies inside. But in general, having more durable pads could mean that you could do this without potentially breaking the pad. Aside from that, they could invest in better hardware to help the game run more smoothly and decrease loading times. Although practically speaking, considering all the costs that comes with having to manufacture and ship newer cabs, it's probably more realistic to assume that a hypothetical Dancerush sequel will take the form of a major update in the same vein as Waka, where the cab stays the same but the game gets some major quality of life updates. Which is the perfect segue into some of the things that I think the game can do to enhance the overall user experience. One such feature would be the UI, as when you load in a credit to start the game, you're prompted to press the center button a few times until you can't get any further, because little did you know, you're actually supposed to press the left button on the last menu, then press the center button, leading people to leave tons of credits for us as they give up in frustration. Anyway, I understand that this problem is mainly relegated to Dancerush machines in the US, since we only have access to light mode despite running on Japanese hardware. But come on man, I know pressing left isn't that hard, but standard convention dictates that if it's the only option, it should already be selected. In any case, once we get past that whole mess, we get into the actual menu. There isn't anything inherently wrong with it, but it could use a new coat of paint along with some minor adjustments here and there to make scrolling through the game's 200 plus songs a little easier, as well as add more cosmetic options, but that's for the UI designers to figure out. As for gameplay, there's definitely some potential on how to increase the replayability of the game. For one, Konami should take notes from their DDR and Sound Voltex series and implement the core system to give the hardcore audience a tangible goal to work towards, giving them ranks and rewards for completing a set list of songs without losing all your hearts. The unlock system should also be revamped, as in its current state it's just a bit too grindy, giving you only 10 stars max per round when the good songs can cost anywhere from 80 stars to 200 stars, although knowing Konami, that's probably what they were going for. Regardless, another feature they could implement is a sort of bingo system like with Waka R, where it's a 3x3 grid, and completing missions allow you to get bonus stars for every line you cross off, and an even bigger bonus for blacking out the entire card. By doing this, the game further incentivizes people who haven't unlocked every song yet, aka me, to actually do the missions in order to fast track their unlocks. This could work in tandem with the already existing discount mission system to make unlocking even less of a grind. Of course, we shouldn't forget our casual audience either, and one way to capture their attention aside from all the pretty lights is by upgrading the soundtrack to include more licenses, and hold on, let me add not only licenses but also good charts. Don't give me charts like Oji Gurenge, actually try to make the licensed songs have genuinely good chart design, as those generally serve as your first impression to the weeb playing Dancerush for the first time. Songs like the OPs to Kobayashi's Dragon Maid and Cinderella from Komi-san would be perfect songs for Dancerush, and Konami doesn't even have to pick the most popular anime. They could pick lesser known anime OPs or dip their toes even further into Vocaloid, VTubers, and just regular J or K-pop. Now look, I get that the license and copyright system in Japan can be notoriously difficult to navigate through, but when Sega is drowning in licenses with Bandai and Taito not too far behind, you don't really have an excuse at this point. Not to mention that Konami's in the unique position where they could leverage the DDR brand name to get licenses for Western pop songs. After all, they've added songs from Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande into Dancerush, so it's not like it hasn't been done before. They also have Party Rock Anthem on DDR, and when you have a song that literally has the line,
"Every day I'm shuffling
shuffling, somehow not in a game that's centered around shuffling, it's a straight up war crime. Then you have songs from other Bemani games that can and should be crossed over into Dancerush, as their BPMs are perfect for shuffling, which can appeal to the more hardcore Bemani fanbase. While we're at it, the game could definitely use some more originals that span multiple different genres, such as electro swing and whatever genre After Image Datum is. Another thing that I'd like to see more of is the use of custom lights in playing certain songs. So far, the only song to ever use this feature was Kizna Eyes the Light. It's a really cool feature that should definitely be utilized more to give the songs a sense of personality, especially if the game decides to bring in more licenses, and it just kicks up the whole Pretty Lights thing to an 11. Aside from all these things though, you know what I really want the most? An official US release. As unlikely as that sounds, I and the entire Dancerush community are gonna be off their rockers if Konami decides to announce full US support for Dancerush. This could mean access to basic mode, which allows US players to gain access to extra stage, allowing us to unlock songs that are only accessible via that mode, potentially crippling the entire Dancerush unlocking economy, unless you're like me and the nearest Dancerush machine is 2 hours away. In that case, gosh, there was also the potential for premium mode, which records your performance and uploads it onto YouTube, which means no more having to find workarounds and or having your phone potentially fall off the mountain in order to get clips of you showing off your moves. All Konami has to do is find a way to circumvent COPPA, either by doing some menu that asks if you're over 13 like what they do with their other Dancerush machines outside of Japan, or just ignore COPPA entirely. Either one works since, to be honest, the law's kind of useless anyway. In all seriousness though, releasing the game in the US and maybe Europe could be one of the biggest moves Konami can make for the game in the long term, as the uniqueness of this game can definitely attract the attention of whoever's passing by, whether it be the songs, the forgiving gameplay, the pretty lights, or a combination of all three. It could also foster a community of content creation around the game, increasing awareness of Dancerush on a much bigger scale, and if the shuffler community gets their hands on this game, there's no telling what could happen. Cause I see how many views those Dancerush TikToks get, so just imagine the views you could get by having a pro dancer record themselves playing Dancerush. That being said, all we can do is just wait and see what's going to be announced at the next KAC, as we hope for more licenses, fleshed out content, and numerous quality of life fixes to the game. Although if that announcement turns out to be that they're killing off Dancerush, I think my channel's screwed, but hey, at least there's Feed Saber, am I right? Anyway, fears of Dancerush's cancellation aside, I'm actually quite optimistic that Dancerush will have a bright future ahead. I know I basically made fun of the game for 8 minutes, but it definitely does deserve a bigger audience, and I hope that many will try it out when they get the chance to, and then come back for more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.